Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing Rasgueado, or the Spanish finger kick, part 2, or 2.0, however you want to call it in our new modern era. But in this video, I will be building upon some of the techniques I talked about in the previous Rasgueado, Spanish finger kick video. But I do want to start out with a couple basics, and just notice I've got some sticky, this is cabinet liner, or could be carpet liner that you put a rug on so you don't slip. And I put this across the lap. You can also just attach it to a guitar support. And I do recommend a guitar support just to get your feet on the ground and yourself up so that the guitar comes up towards you. Last but not least, I'm wearing a short sleeve shirt, so I have this former dress sock that came fresh out of the wash and dryer with holes in it. I cut off the foot part and I'm left with the tube. It's great, cheap, and a nice way to recycle a sock. Okay, so what I'd like to do now is start out with just some simple, just coming back to the guitar. And just always come to your fingertips and just be there in your hands and yourself. And you can dial into your breath. You can even kind of do like that ball of energy, which I may have done in a video or not, but it's like you ever stand too close to someone in a line, or vice versa, and you can feel like, wow, that's uncomfortable. You know, if someone comes up behind you in the line while you're waiting to use the bank machine or whatever. So it's that kind of energy you can find in yourself, and just bring yourself here and just start out with a little finger kicking like we did in the previous one. Now you can take that finger kicking and do individual fingers. I like to move. What we're practicing is learning how to get the guitar to move with us. You can also consider this moving over the guitar. It's both. Now I'm switching fingers, changing rhythms. Now I'd like to show what's called apoyado. This is where you flick it out of your finger. So it kind of creates a flicking, creates more punch. Now what I'd like to do is show you another one. And this is, so we've got the individual. The next thing I like to do is go to what's called a 5-finger, although technically it's only 4, but it's 5 strokes. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, in. One more time, I've got my thumb across the fingertips and it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, in. Very common flamenco rasgueado technique, and they like to do it always down here. That's great for flamenco, but oftentimes when I play Peruvian music, well, even apoyado is considered a little strong, but then to get really bright, they feel like you're crossing styles a little bit. So it's nice to get different sounds, especially for a classical context. But I find the apoyado really helps with precision of rhythm. And then aire, which is without the finger, the thumb support, is kind of a more airy, open gesture. Both are great to practice. Let's start by just going one at a time. And then you can do apoyado. Apoyado again is this kind of flicking out of the thumb and returning quickly. And when I'm doing this at the guitar, I'm thinking about kind of, it's like you're creating a ramp off your thumb. So anytime you do apoyado, it's always nicer if that thumb creates a ramp into the strings, into the guitar. I'm kind of changing the rhythm. Eventually, I start thinking about how to be rhythmic with it. Well, really, I'm inventing rhythms and kind of following it. But then sometimes it's nice to be a little more precise. So I think like 1 E and 2 E. And I like to change the sound too. 1 E. doing a pattern, a rhythmic pattern of 4 with a finger pattern of 5. This helps create evenness. You can play with that as much as you want. Okay, so another thing I like to do is what's called, just a little out of tune, but that's okay, pairs. And how I like to do this is to work on adjacent fingering and using the brachialis type motions to our advantage. And so one is going out, out, in. So it's out with the pinky, out with the ring, in with the ring, in with the pinky. So it's like a circle, out, out, in. And if you notice, it's going out and then in. Out and in. That's the motion, but we're stopping at 2 fingers. So let's go out, out, in. This has to be al aire, or kind of a free rasgueado. It's really tricky to do that with the thumb. Although you can try it. Maybe I should do it more often. Never done it before. That's funny. So I'm doing it al aire. Partly because I feel like there's a lot of tension already in the hand that I don't need to add the thumb. Kind of interesting though. Now I'm going to do 2 different sets of fingers. These 2 are non-adjacent. I'm going to do pinky out, middle in, pinky in. Cool. Now you can also go the opposite way. I forgot to do that. You could go middle out, excuse me, well, let's do that, yeah. The middle out, pinky out, and then pinky in, middle in. You could have done the same with the original pair. You could have done ring out, pinky out, and then pinky in. So it's the same concept, but instead of going this, you're going like this. So one is starting with the pinky, finishing with the pinky. Others starting with index, finishing with index. Going the opposite way. And I'm only using these 2 fingers. Okay, so we've done these 2 and these 2. Now let's do ring and middle. So ring out, middle in. Ring out, middle in. Thinking in pairs of 3, or in groups of 3 is kind of nice for a pattern of 4. Notice I switched halfway through, going middle out, ring in, middle in. So again, one is starting with index, finishing with index is the overall motion with your fingers. Others starting with the pinky, ending with the pinky. But we're just focusing on 2 fingers, using that brachialis type motion. And then you can think in groups of 5. Let's do middle and index. Middle out, index in, middle in. That's the pinky led, pinky ended. When I say pinky and I'm talking about like the overall that versus index out, middle out. Excuse me, ring out, ring in, index in. Index out, ring out, index in. Going the opposite direction, ring out, index in. You notice the natural motion for the, or the natural rhythmic motion for this is in 4, but it's nice to again like go. If you want to do apoyado. Realize something new I could be doing. Okay, now let's do these 2 adjacent fingers. Because these aren't adjacent, we're skipping. But we'll now get middle and index. Middle out, index in, middle in. So this is the pinky-led brachialis type motion. Technically, brachialis is just that, but they're kind of similar concepts. I did not start this fast. At most I could go, take a break. Whew, that hurts. Doesn't need to hurt. If it starts to hurt, stop. But what you're usually noticing when you say hurt is tired. But notice hurt, it can also be ah. If you get even close to that, stop. Even at tired, go ahead and stop. So if you got tired a while ago, stop. Take a break from this for a couple days, then come back. Cool. So there's a couple Rasgueado type motions, Spanish finger kicks. Again, I like moving across the instrument because what it does, it helps us gain another kind of way to support pressure from the fretting hand, in my case, the left hand. I'll talk more about that later when we get to the left hand. But I'd like to do a finger playing 2.0 in just a moment.